What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching. I appreciate your appreciation of my videos, and I wish you all the best. And I think every single one of you little gods, little God consciousness is pretty fucking amazing. And speaking of God, and speaking of consciousness, and speaking of the Force, what are we doing here? What are we doing here on this blue organic spaceship called planet Earth? Is there meaning to anything that we do? Is there meaning to me waking up? And is there meaning to me making this video? Really, like, is there significant purpose and meaning to my existence at the moment? Me creating this video? Well, I'm trying to solve the riddle of so many thousands of years and so many philosophers and theologies and everything came and tried to solve this riddle. Is there a point to our existence? And the answer is, it really depends how you look at it. That is at least my answer to it. My answer to the question of, is there purpose, is there meaning to our existence? I think it really depends on how you look at it and which plane of existence are you looking at it from. So I want to take a look at this question from as far back as I can step outside of what's going on. Okay, so maybe perhaps the highest plane of that is creating all these planes, creating the experience of life, the experience of being a human being on planet Earth, the experience of me talking to this camera and you watching. We're gonna look as far back, just take, as far as we can go. And if we look at what's going on, the infinite intelligence, the Force, it is what it is, the animating energy, the life, the thing that is animating all the life force, the God consciousness is infinite. It's pure awareness. It just is. And it goes on for infinity. And it's perfect. And it just is. That's what it is. It is what it is, right? It's whole. It's perfect. It's whole. God consciousness gets pretty bored of that state of affairs and says, let me create this amusement park. And let me break myself down and just experience myself momentarily as these little subjective things. Because just being perfect all the time is too boring. So, I've talked about this in a previous video, but the best analogy that for me, that helps me look at this is a puzzle. You guys have all played a puzzle, right? You basically have the whole picture, and usually the whole picture is on the cover of the puzzle, right? When you buy the puzzle, it's like the whole picture. So the picture could be like a picture of space. Maybe it's a farm with like a horse and a dog or something. You know, these puzzles, you know, they come in all different pictures and for fun, right? And you open the box and then you have the little pieces there. And you have to put the little pieces together so that the picture can be whole again. Right? So you can have that picture on the cover of the puzzle. You can put these little pieces together and have the picture whole again. In other words, the picture was already perfect, was already whole as it is, and just for fun, not for any meaning, not for any significant purpose. Really, there is no purpose of it other than to play, other than to have fun, other than to get busy and get on with it and do something with your time, right? Because you're getting bored, right? You're bored, you're sitting around, you're a kid, you're 7, 8 year old, and you're just kind of fucking bored. Mom, Dad, can we get that puzzle? You go to Toys R Us or something. Mom, Dad, can we get that puzzle? You just want to play. You're a kid. You're just bored. You want to play, right? Is there a significant purpose to you putting the pieces together and breaking them up and then, you know, buying this puzzle, broken pieces and putting together? Other than to play? No, there isn't. There really isn't. And we're kind of living, actually not kind of, we are living in the same dilemma. You and I are little God consciousness. We're little infinite consciousness. Little awareness of God, you know, the one consciousness. We are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. And it's in the same way we're these little broken pieces now. One piece here is speaking. It's known in the human, in this current space continuum, in this human culture, as goes by the name Saeed Mubayyad, right? That's the name. And it looks a certain way and acts a certain way and etc, etc, etc. And is wearing a green shirt at the moment. That's what the little God consciousness happens to be manifesting at the moment. That happens to be experiencing at the moment. Same thing for you watching this video, you know? Now, we're trying to put these little pieces again together. So that the concept of loving everyone and merging with the divine and becoming one with everything, that's essentially us trying to put the pieces together again for the whole picture, you see? Now, to look at things from like very much as far back as we can go, the highest plane of existence, I don't see the point. I don't see the point. I think we're playing ultimately. The whole thing, it's just play. Creation is but a play. So there's no purpose then. It's just meaningless. You know, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of us putting these things together? Really, it's not meaning. Like, you can create meaning. That's what we're going to talk about here. You can create meaning. It really just depends where you're looking at it. You can create meaning, but really, in the grand scheme of things, there's no meaning. It's meaningless. You know, that's a nihilistic statement. But there's no meaning. I personally don't see the meaning in all of this in the grand scheme of things. But clearly, Saeed, you're not someone who is acting based on a meaningless life. I mean, you get up and you're excited and you're energetic and you make videos and you got this desire in you to, you know, alleviate the suffering of others. So, you know, where is that? I mean, you're talking like a nihilistic here. You're making nihilistic statements here. But if you've watched my videos long enough, you probably don't get that vibe at all. Well, so when we're putting the pieces together, as a kid, you're putting the puzzle together, right? And you're so involved in the puzzle and you're so involved in putting the pieces together, right? You can create meaning within the play, you see? So you can be like, you know, like this piece fits with that piece. And then you can kind of like see where the horse is on the picture. And you can start to make conclusions like, oh, that piece is like the asshole of the horse. And that piece is the head of the horse, right? And you can kind of start to see connection and start to create meaning. Essentially, you're creating meaning. You're making this process of play somehow meaningful. Like you can start to tell yourself, oh, you know, like me putting the horse together, there is a meaning out of it. And you can create your own meaning. You can start to make your own connections. In the same way, within this meaningful act of play, we can create meaning within every moment, within every interaction, within every incarnation, let's say, right? We can create meaning. We can say, you know, this is meaningful to my existence at the moment. Because it kind of is. Like, there is a purpose. What is the purpose of putting the play together, or sorry, the puzzle together? In the grand scheme of things, no purpose, just a play. But while you're putting it, like there's purpose, you know? Like you are bringing this piece, and you're bringing that piece, and you're bringing this piece, and you're bringing that piece. And the purpose of you bringing all these pieces together is to put that picture of the horse. right? And then, you know, maybe you have like clouds in the puzzle. So, you know, the purpose of you looking for the clouds, looking for the pieces to bring them together is to put the picture together. So there is purpose, there is meaning within the meaninglessness. And that's up to you to create. That really is up to me to create it in my own life. That is up to you to create it in your own life. It seems that if you feel like you're someone on a mission, someone that is doing something meaningful, then just seems like life gets better. People who have meaning, they usually have more fulfillment, more gratitude, more peace, tend to be. That's a tendency, right? Nietzsche, the German philosopher, has the saying, he who has a why can bear with any how. And then if you've ever read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, right? He survived the Holocaust. He's literally been in almost the worst case scenario for any human being. His wife and children got taken away from him. He never saw them again. Saw his friends die in the Holocaust camp, have seen torture, you know, all kinds of shit. And he's been through it himself. And he even says he developed this philosophy, logotherapy, which is human motivations is motivated by finding meaning, finding purpose. He said the same thing. He said, you know, like, you know, he also used Nietzsche's quote, he who has a why can bear with any how. And that was his conclusion. His conclusion was, everybody who survived the Holocaust because they saw meaning in their life. They perceived meaning. They saw this suffering is for a purpose. You see? And yes, this suffering they're going through is for a purpose. The purpose of our existence is to merge with the divine again and make our way through this game and increase our consciousness and just become with the divine, become one with the God consciousness, with the all, with the force. You see? Whichever analogy and metaphor you want to follow. That's the purpose. Just like me putting the puzzles together, looking for where the horse asshole is and where the horse head is, and looking for all the horse pieces and putting them together, and looking for all the cloud pieces and putting them together. There's a purpose. I'm putting them together. You see, I'm looking for it. There is purposefulness to my inquiry, to me looking for the pieces so I can put them together. And yes, there is meaning in their suffering. Of course there is, because that through the suffering, they'll be able to increase their awareness and increase their state of consciousness if they perceived it that way. If they perceive that this is a chance for me to level up in this game, to increase my state of awareness and my state of consciousness. And that's why Viktor Frankl's conclusion was, those who saw meaning in their suffering are the ones that ended up surviving. And those who gave up, they perished very quickly. So as you can see, in the grand scheme of things, this is quite meaningless. It's play. It's a playful act. And everything that is within the game, all the elements, everything that we're doing, it's in the spirit of play. Even suffering is from God consciousness's point of view, is in the spirit of play. You see, because, you know, the element of suffering and pain makes it feel real. You know, and without that it feeling real, there is no game being played here. But within the meaninglessness, within the play, let's say, you know, because maybe the word meaninglessness is a little bit too, let's say, negative here. I know some people will be like, oh no, you're just a pussy, you can't take the truth, you can't handle the truth, bro. Okay, fair enough. I'm agreeing with you that it is meaninglessness, but I like to look at it as a play. It's not, you know, it's a play. You know, and the act of playing is not meaningful, but it's also maybe not meaninglessness. It's not like, you know, it's just I'm playing. That's all. It's just play. It is what it is. It's the Tao. It's the way. See, I think that the Tao, the way, the philosophy of the Tao always wins the day. You know, because play just is. I mean, you want to say it's meaningful, meaninglessness, meaning, or not meaning. I keep getting these words mixed up, so I'm just going to stop using it. What's the word? Meaningless, meaningless, and then meaninglessness, right? Okay, so, see, you learn English. So what was I saying? Yeah, it's just play. It's an act of play, right? Hard to say there's any meaning to play. We can create the meaning, like, you know, like first, how did the first sport competition start? A bunch of people were playing, and then they decided, let's create meaning out of it. Let's create meaning. Let's create teams, and let's set goals, you know, and let's create meaning. I'm playing this game now to win, where you started it off as play. So it seems that we are destined to find meaning within the absurdity of it all. It seems that that's just how God set itself up. That's how this intelligence, this divine intelligence, that just seems how it set itself up to play. It set itself up to play in such a way that it's driven to find purpose and meaning within its existence in the present moment. And so when you move on to the next life, when you move on to the next incarnation, when you move on to the next dimension, the next realm, doesn't even have to be planet Earth, could be somewhere else, you're probably going to be driven for the same kind of behavior to find some kind of meaning, some kind of purpose in your fragile existence, in whatever present time, space continuum you happen to be in. Right? And I'm sure there are other time-space continuums that are completely alien to us, and we can't even perceive them with our current time-space continuum. I'm sure there are plenty of them, probably an infinite number of them. And it's just kind of an endless, the game goes on forever and ever 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 and ever, just like because, you know, the God consciousness is infinite. It's infinity. Right? And it created an infinite loop, call it the amusement park, created an infinite loop in its imagination of things it can be and things it can do. So this is just we're gonna keep playing on and on and on and on and on and on forever. But we don't have to play in Earth necessarily. Once we're done from this realm, from this time-space continuum, and we've advanced our state of consciousness and we've put the puzzles together, let's say, right? Put the puzzles together and it's a whole picture. Maybe we can go play somewhere else now. Different time-space continuums. Who knows, different God consciousnesses all together. But maybe we won't even be able to perceive of it because we are this one God consciousness. So my conclusion to this question is there meaning to life? Yes and no. Yes and no. For the reasons I explained in this video. It's meaningless and it's meaningful. Both at the same time. And that's the paradox of existence. My own personal recommendation is find meaning and find purpose. Or accept that it's meaningless. Either way, you'll be able to go on and live a decent, good life. If you find meaning, or if you totally accept that it's meaningless, you'll be happy. My preferred way of doing it is to live on both planes of existence at the same time. See that it's meaningless and see that it's meaningful. If you can do that, then life becomes this very interesting, paradoxical existence. And you won't help yourself but laugh at the absurdity of it all. God bless you all. I love every single one of you guys. But don't forget to subscribe or you're gonna sleep with the fishes. And there's a lot of meaning in that. Make sure you subscribe.